Hello and welcome. Today we're going to go ahead and review what this is. If you'll notice, you circled the problem right there. This is the cam angle sensor off of a 1992 Mitsubishi Eclipse, a DSM if you will, which has been modified with a shaft and gear set from a 4AGE Toyota motor. This is going in Project Disappointment. We have been disappointed many times by a loss of signal from our toothed wheel setup on the crankshaft with the Hall effect sensor from DIY Auto Tune. We've had issues with them, well, either hitting the wheel because it's so low to the ground and we're not very nice to the car, or with the insides of it actually pulling back and losing signal that way. We've had two sensors fail on us at this point, the cherry red Hall sensor. So I kind of had this idea, which will give us a cam and a crank signal from one sensor. We went ahead and just swapped out the shaft from the 4AGE and set it at the correct length to mesh with the gears on the camshaft. Today I'm going to test this sensor and make sure it works. I'll show you kind of how I do that. I don't always do things the right way, but I have a pretty good idea of how these things work. So let's dig in. Today we're going to use the 5-volt setting. I'm not positive what the pinout on this guy is. I have checked these before, but it looks like we've got a black wire and a red wire, and then an orange wire and a yellow wire. I assume 5 volts to red, 0 volts to black, and then as I turn the wheel, I will get a signal coming out of the yellow and orange wires. You gotta be careful though, probably gonna throw some black tape over the positive and make sure I don't short everything out inside and blow it up. Wire strippers. I didn't come prepared, I'm sorry, class. Bad. Let me go find us some black tape real quick. I didn't find any black tape, but I've got this heat shrink tubing from, oh, this is from AutoZone. Try to make sure it doesn't short out and break something that's not. This is called a Mushi meter. Now, oh, didn't quite get her. Now we're looking for a voltage jump when I turn the little deal. Really, if one of them works, then the other's going to work. That's kind of how this deal goes, but I believe this is going to show 5 volts when the little light sensor in here is looking at something open, which it is. Now it's not. So we got 5 volts, 5 volts. I don't know if you guys can see the voltage on there. I'll zoom it in onto the voltmeter. What I'm doing here is just turning the shaft. You can see 5 volts, which is 7 volts. I don't know, whatever. 5 volts. So the outside ring of this guy is working, and I also know now that the outside ring is yellow, so that's something to be noted here. We just take the black lead, we put it to a common ground, we take the red lead and we put the red lead on whatever signal wire we're trying to test. We set it to voltage DC and we watch it go. So I'm going to flip this over to the other guy, get the 5 volts plugged back in. Now we'll try the other one. Right now we got 5 volts and we got nothing. So this sensor worked. I can feel free to install that in the car now. It's a good idea to check these before you try to start the car. You're trying to troubleshoot everything and didn't know if the sensor was good or not. Bench testing this in the car sucks a lot more, so we'll check in when we're tuning it with this guy.